Cool, yeah, so if you want to just make yourself comfortable there. So, first thing we're going to do is what's called a suggestibility test. Okay? It's not a test that you can pass or fail or anything like that. It's just going to give me an indication, and it's going to give you an indication as well as to how suggestible your mind is. Okay? So, first thing I'd like you to do is just interlink your fingers like this. Okay? You don't have to grip tight. Lift your hands up a little bit, and all you're going to do is open up your index fingers nice and wide this way. Okay? That's it. So, first fingers. Yeah. It's alright?
Fail.
Yeah, you know what I said about passing or failing? So yeah, nice and wide, and all I want you to do is close your eyes, and just imagine that you've got a little magnet in the tip of each finger there. The fingers that you're holding up, you've got a little magnet, opposite poles. Now you know what magnets do, they attract with opposite poles. So I want you to use your imagination and just see what happens. See if you can feel the magnets pulling your fingers together with each second that passes. Use your imagination. You might want to picture it in your mind's eye. You might just feel the sensation of it. It really doesn't matter. It depends how you're wired up, essentially. But when your fingertips touch, you'll be able to open your eyes and see the evidence for yourself. And it will still happen even if I shut your mouth and just let you do it. So we've got one done over here. And you can fight it, you can try and resist, but it's still going to happen. Those fingertips are still going to come together as quickly or as slowly as you allow them to. And I'm just going to let this go on for a few more seconds before I continue, before it gets boring. Stop there. Open your eyes if you've got them closed still. Have a look at your fingers. Come a bit closer, haven't they? How did it feel to you guys while it was happening? Any insights as to what the feeling was there? If anything.
Don't come together.
Yeah. Just feeling
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else? Anything weird going on? The weirdest one I had was somebody that I did this with. The fingers actually started sweating, like around the tips. That was very weird. But the point of it is, when you take away the visual stimulation there, so you can't see anything, all you're going off is what you can feel and the words that I'm giving you. So all that's happening then is your mind's taking on board the instruction without necessarily knowing it, and the fingers are coming together so you can use your imagination. Okay? So that's a little insight into how you can use suggestion and hypnosis to change something in reality. Okay? So has anybody ever done any hypnosis before or been hypnotized or anything like that? In any way, shape or form. Okay? So I've let the pocket watch at home, unfortunately, so can't be having you dancing around like chickens and whatnot today, but jokes aside. So hypnosis is a natural state that you can get yourself into to perform better. You can also deal with things, you know, if you've got any traumas or anxiety issues, depression, whatever it might be. There's, you name it, it can help with anything. But in this context, for you guys, I'm guessing you want to perform better. You want to improve your skills in techniques, in jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, whatever it is that you're doing. If you can get yourself into that state of hypnosis, you actually can learn quicker, you can respond quicker, you're actually able to calm your nervous system down in situations, whether it's just rolling or in training or even in fights. You're able to control your nervous system, your arousal level, so that you're able to perform the best that you can while staying in control and not letting it get away from you. Okay? So hypnosis itself, it's a natural state that you can get into. It's a natural altered state of consciousness. Have you ever caught yourself daydreaming? Yeah? Staring off into space, you know. You're still with it, you're still aware of what's going on, but you're not really bothered by it, you're in your own little world, you're just kind of chilling. That's the beginning stages of a hypnotic state. That's when your brainwaves have slowed down into an alpha brainwave state, which I'll get into in a little bit. All we want to do is use utilize that state rather than it just happening spontaneously. Okay? And so there's a lot of myths around hypnosis, but you can put yourself there. I'm not going to take control of your mind and make you do things that you can't or you don't want to do. You can take yourself there by just utilizing the natural brainwave states that your brain goes through every single day, but you can utilize it for a purpose. I first started using this when I was about 16 or 17, when I was competing. Don't know where I picked it up from, but I would just go outside the arena, somewhere quiet, and I'd either sit down or kneel down, close my eyes, just slow my breath down a little bit, and I would start to visualize what I wanted to do out there on the mat, in the ring, whatever it was. And I always found that it helped me to perform better in there. The results didn't always go my way, but that's beside the point. I always felt really good in there. And that was the thing, getting me into that peak state, that flow state, getting in the zone so I could go out and compete to the best of my ability. Okay, so that's what we want to be utilizing this for today. Okay. Any questions so far? I've rambled on a little bit there. Okay, cool. If anybody does think of any questions at all, just say it till the end if you can remember, and we'll just whip round a few questions at the end if that's all good with everybody. Okay. So I'll just tell you a little bit more about my story and how I got into this. So as Mr. Ball said, I started training when I was 6 years old and hated competing at that age. But I was good at it, and I got through the belts, got to my black belt when I was just before my 9th birthday. And so when we first met, I was a black belt at that time when Mr. Ball and Mr. Foley were just starting. But we trained together and we sort of grew up together through martial arts and training and competing together. Now, it was only when I joined the same club as those guys that I actually started enjoying competing a bit more. So I was already a black belt, but I hated competing. But as I got older, I got into it, got a bit more success, and then as I said earlier, I started doing a visualization practice when I was about 16 or 17. I've been competing internationally for 3 or 4 years at this point, and had varying success with it. But when I started putting this into practice and utilising what I've got between my ears, my success ramped up to the point where as well in gradings too. I had so much more success with gradings because I went in with a particular mindset of, I've already passed this. And it's not a complacent mindset, it's that conviction where I know I'm good enough, I know I've done the work, I'm already this particular belt, this downgrade, whatever it is. It's just time for reality to catch up, It's just time for the examiners to see how good I was and for me to be awarded the grade. Okay? So it can be utilised in various different contexts, but the point is the same, to create this bulletproof mindset, championship mindset essentially, when you just know without a shadow of a doubt that you're the best at what you're doing and you're there to perform to the very best of your ability. Okay? So I'll just get into a little bit of how it works, as I say. Typically, if you start to breathe a little bit deeper and slower, you can start to calm your nervous system down. Okay? Your nervous system, everybody heard of fight or flight, fight, flight, freeze, that kind of thing. So fight, flight, freeze, that's when your sympathetic nervous system is activated, essentially. You're ready to fight somebody, you're ready to get the hell out of there, or you're going to freeze in place, typically speaking. It's a survival mechanism. We want to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the rest and digest one. It's the opposite. It's when your body's calm and it's not needing to be in a stressed state, responding to something outside of yourself. You're able to just relax. But when we're in that state, the body starts to calm down, the mind starts to calm down, the brainwaves start to slow down. Now, as you're all listening to me ramble on, your brainwaves are probably in what's called the beta state, which is the biggest brainwave state. When you're consciously awake, you're aware, you've got thoughts popping in and out your head all the time, thinking, what's this guy going on about, etc., etc. Maybe what you're having for tea later. All sorts of things coming in and out of your head at any time. Now, when we start to relax, we slow those down into what's called the alpha state, as I mentioned earlier, when you're daydreaming a little bit. That's when your mind and body start to relax and you get a bit more creative with your thoughts. That starts to open up your subconscious mind a little bit. Again, you're aware of what's going on, but you're not necessarily bothered by what's going on around you. You're in your own little world. Now, when we get a little bit deeper than that and we slow our brainwaves down a bit more, we get into what's called the theta state. That's the state where the magic happens, essentially. That's where your conscious mind is set to one side and your subconscious mind is open to new suggestions. That's where we can learn at a really high rate. We can actually create new neural pathways in the brain in that state. Okay? And that's what we want to utilize when we're doing something like this. So if I get, for example, if I get you into a theta brainwave state, so you're relaxed, brainwaves are slowed down, you're there, and then I get you to visualize either, let's say, winning a particular tournament or passing your next grade. It might even be learning a new submission or a new technique. It could be anything that you've not quite done yet, but you want to, that goal that you've got. If I get you to visualize it in that state, your conscious mind doesn't start thinking, yeah, I can't do that. Or yeah, I'm not good enough for that yet. All of that chatter, that negative self-talk is put to one side, and your brain will just accept it. And we can build on that from there. We fire and wire new neurons in the brain to create this new thought process, and if you can think it in here, you can then go and bring it back in the real world. Okay? It sounds a bit airy-fairy, but it's true. It's just an expedited way of learning how to do something new. Okay? So we're utilizing that state to go where you want, essentially. Any questions so far on any of this? Okay, cool. So, with that, guys, what I'd like you to do is just experience a little bit of it for yourselves, okay? I'm just going to guide you through it. You don't have to take part, but it's up to you, yeah? You're just going to sit comfortably, and in a second, all you're going to do is just close your eyes and you're just going to start to focus on your breathing. You're just going to follow my voice, and I'm just going to explain to you what's going to happen, and just start to slow those brainwaves down, and we're going to use some visualizations there. I don't know what you guys want to achieve, and I don't need to know for this. You know what it is that you want to get out of this, so make the best of it for yourself, okay? So make yourself nice and comfortable, and all I want you to do is just close your eyes when you're ready to, okay? And just start to focus on your breathing for a second. Now you can breathe in any particular way that you want to. You can breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. You could just breathe through your nose, just through your mouth. It really doesn't matter, but just slow that breathing down a bit. Slow the breath down, fill your lungs. And as you do that, your heart rate's going to start to reduce a little bit. It's going to slow down a little bit. Your blood pressure's going to come down ever so slightly. Your muscles are going to start to relax. And you might find that you just start to drift off a little bit mentally. You might start to feel sleepy, perhaps. You're not going to go to sleep, but you're just simply relaxing your mind and body down. And all I want you to do now is I want you to think about the muscles in the top of your head. Even if you don't know what those muscles are or what they look like, what they're called, it doesn't matter. You know there's muscles there at the top of your head. So just think about relaxing them. Focus your attention on those muscles in the top of your head. Start to let them go. Start to relax them. And you might start to notice that relaxation starts to move down your forehead. Those muscles in your forehead start to let go, start to relax. You might feel it as a wave of relaxation just starting to move move down your body. Feel the muscles in your cheeks starting to relax. Those powerful jaw muscles that you've got, just starting to let go. You might part your teeth ever so slightly as well. Feel that relaxation moving into your neck, your traps. Those strong neck muscles that you use so much in grappling, just start to let them go now. Let that flow into your shoulders. Let those shoulders relax fully. Your biceps and triceps, let them go. Feel that relaxation flow down through your elbow, into your forearms, into your wrists, your hands, even into the tips of each finger and thumb. You are in complete control. You are making the choice to relax all those muscles now. Start to feel that relaxation moving through your chest, your back, your lats, your stomach, your abdominal muscles. All of those muscles can just let go now. Now's the time for relaxation. Take control of that. Let the muscles start to relax through your hips, your glutes, into your quads, your hamstrings, down through your knees, your calves and shins, just let them go. Let that relaxation continue to flow down through your ankles, into your feet, and even into the tips of each toe. Continuing to breathe slowly, deeply, and calmly. Now you've made the choice to relax your entire body, to let those muscles go. Any tightness, any tension, simply let go. Now that your mind and body is completely relaxed, I want you to have a think about that goal. That particular goal that you've got. Now it might be something that you want to achieve in the short term, maybe this week or next month. Maybe it's something a little further in the future, maybe next year, maybe it's 5 years away. It really doesn't matter, but just select in your mind one particular goal that you're looking to achieve. It can be something as big as a world championship. It could be something a little bit more close to home. You might want to learn a new technique or get your next belt. It really doesn't matter. Just select a goal that means something to you. Something that you really want to achieve. And once you've got that goal in your mind's eye, create a picture of it. What does it look like? Where is it? Where is this goal taking place? Where's it happening? Start to imagine the place that you're in, the environment, the sights, everything that you can see in that time and place. Make it as vivid as you possibly can in your mind, because your brain doesn't know the difference fully between what's going on in your head and what's going on out there in reality. So if you can make that as vivid and real as possible in your mind, you're almost telling your mind that you've already done it. Creating that new neural pathway in the brain that says you've already done it. So make everything as clear and vivid as you possibly can in your mind. Notice any sounds in that time and place. Any positive sounds. Turn up the volume. Not so that it's deafening, but so that you can hear it clear as day. You can hear any positive sounds. Maybe there's just peace and quiet. Maybe you can hear people encouraging you, congratulating you on what you've achieved, supporting you. It really doesn't matter. Whatever's best for you. Notice the physical sensations. The feel of the clothing that you're wearing. The surface that you're sitting, standing, lying on. Notice the temperature. Any breeze that might be present. Notice the physical sensations. And make them as real as possible in your mind. Now focus on feelings. How good does it feel to have achieved that goal, that thing that you set out to achieve that means so much to you? How good does it feel? How confident do you feel now that you've got it? How proud of yourself are you that you've achieved that thing? Focus on all the good, wonderful, amazing feelings now and turn them on. Let those feelings fill every single cell in your body. Doing really well. Make that time and place, that goal in your mind as real as you possibly can, in every way, shape, or form. I'm just going to remain silent for a couple minutes, just to allow you to really engage with that image in your mind. So now, for these last few moments, I want you to create a picture in your mind of you having achieved that goal. So pay attention to everything you can see in that place. Take a mental picture, because any time in the future that you want to remember this feeling, to bring all this back to the surface, all you need to do is remember this picture. Remember this mental snapshot. And your mind and body will immediately take you back there to all the sights, all the sounds, all the positive feelings of you having accomplished that goal. That's really good. And now I'm just going to count to 5. And when I reach number 5, you'll be able to open your eyes and be wide awake, aware, fully back in the room. 1. Start to turn your attention back to your breathing. Start to breathe a little deeper again. Fill your lungs with energizing oxygen. starting to bring you back to full conscious awareness. 2, starting to feel every muscle, every nerve and every fibre in your body starting to come back online, starting to wake up. You might wiggle your fingers or your toes, starting to come back to full conscious awareness. 3, starting to feel a little bit more awake. 4, even more so, almost ready to come back completely. And 5, eyes open, wide awake. Take a nice deep breath, stretch if you need to. Okay. Good stuff, guys. Well done. So, how did that feel to you guys? Were you able to connect with a vision there? I don't need to know what any of it was, but how did you find it? Was it easy? Was it difficult? Any thoughts at all with that? Yeah?
Yeah, nice and relaxed.
Good. You better wake up before Jiu Jitsu.
Felt quite a natural body experience. So looking out looking in.
Yeah? Yeah.
And yeah, completely relaxed.
Good.
Really relaxed.
And that's the thing, sometimes your experience of it will be different to somebody else's as well. Sometimes you feel like you're completely away with the fairies and you know it's an out-of-body experience, as you beautifully put there. Sometimes you feel like you've just got your eyes shut and just awake and away, you know. But your subconscious mind is always listening to what's being fed to it. So even in that sort of headspace where you don't feel like there's much happening, it's going in covertly, and you might realise something later on. You know, you might behave a little bit differently or do something different that's not out of character, but it's moving you towards getting your goal, okay? So, you don't have to go through all of that procedure that we've just done there to get yourself into that state. You can simply make yourself comfortable, take a few deep breaths, and just think about that mental image again. Take yourself back to that place. If you want to spend a bit more time going through a full body relaxation, a bit like we did there, you can. You don't have to. You can just take a couple minutes to just re-engage with that image. But make sure that you bring back the feelings with it. Because the thing with it is, your brain associates with pictures and feelings. And so if you've only got one without the other, you're only doing half a service there. If you can connect the two, that's when you're going to really help to fire and wire more strongly those neural pathways in the brain. And it takes practice as well. I always use the analogy of going to the gym with it, because if you, well, let's use a Jiu Jitsu example. Okay, so if you're a white belt and you come into class and you learn the absolute basics, if you then go away and you don't train again, after a certain amount of time you're going to forget all that. Even the most basic stuff, you're going to forget it. But if you keep coming to class, week in, week out, your body learns, your mind learns, and you become more efficient. Your muscles get stronger, you build your endurance, you build your technical proficiency as well. And this is the same. So we can install the neurological software in the brain, but if you don't use it, you lose it. Okay? So by doing something like this regularly and practicing it, you can engage with it a bit more, you can build on it, you can even start to develop it as you go. So once you've achieved that goal, right, what's the next thing? Right, we need to change it. Let's look to the next thing. Okay? And it's all about building your skill set in the mental side of things as well. And you might be surprised at how much further forward you can get yourself with getting your brain in gear with this. Okay? And it's pretty amazing when you really get into it. As I say, from my own experience personally and competitiveness, experiencing what it's like, but then actually going on the flip side of it and learning about how it all actually works. It's fascinating stuff. But everybody can do it. That's the thing. It's just getting your head in gear, essentially, to do it. Any questions, guys, on anything that I've said or not said today?
Do you keep it like the World Championship thing, or do you keep it more specific?
Depends.
Does it really?
Depends what you want to do. I personally would say to do both, because you want the big audacious goal, you know, something that maybe scares you a little bit, something that might feel out of reach for the moment. It gives you something to aim for, but then you also want the smaller, you know, micro goal. If that's the macro goal, you want the micro ones as well, because those are the building blocks that's going to get you there. So visualize the big goal, but then also visualize the next thing. I remember once hearing Chael Sonnen, I'm sure all of you are MMA fans anyway. I remember Chael Sonnen talking about visualization before some of his fights, and it was something at this point that I hadn't really thought about before, because in, you know, the qualifications that I've done, it's mostly about thinking positively and, you know, all that kind of thing, not really paying any mind to the negative stuff. But when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. He would visualize himself in the worst positions. He would be on his back, getting beat on, you know, and just not in a good space. But the point, and this is what I do with some of the fighters that I work with, is get them to visualize being in the bad position. You're losing the fight, it's not going well, but visualize how you're going to reverse that. How are you going to get out of it? Are you going to sweep your opponent? How are you going to get up if you're on the mat? Whatever the position is, it doesn't matter. Yeah? Visualize the bad stuff, and then how you're going to get out of it. And then you can think about the positive side of it, you getting on top and you taking over the fight and winning, etc., etc. Make it as rounded as you want it to be. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Any other questions or thoughts on anything?
Isn't what we just did the same principle as meditation?
Similar. It's very similar. Yeah. Yeah. Meditation and hypnosis use a lot of similar mechanisms. Yeah. Semantics, I suppose. But there are different, obviously, a lot more different meditation practice, you know, transcendental meditation and various other different schools of thought with that, where hypnosis and hypnotherapy is kind of what it is within one discipline. There's just different modalities within it. But yeah, the point is getting yourself into that right mindset using it. Any other questions, guys? Yeah?
Yeah. So, like, obviously we're sort of being put into like a relaxed state, but then, like, obviously we try to imagine what you used to like a stressful state. And how do you sort of match those two together? Because I know it feels like contradictory to me. You're much more sort of relaxed and be like calm in the moment, and then imagine somebody just smashing the shit out of me. It's like it's quite difficult to marry
Yeah.
those two up.
Yeah, it's a good question. So the thing with getting yourself into that hypnotic state, you need to relax a bit first to get yourself into the theta brainwave state, as I said before. And from there, you can go down whichever avenue you want. So you can be led then into a more stressful state. And if you're using a biofeedback machine, I have got one at home, but I have not used it for a little while. But that measures galvanic skin response. So same sort of thing as what lie detector tests use. And you can actually see on that if I'm trying to elicit somebody into, let's say, something negative that's happened to them, if we're confronting that to reprocess that particular memory, you can see the numbers spike. And so the relaxation bit is to get you into the right state, but from there you can then address the stressful stuff. But the point is to modify the stress response to start to reduce it and turn and change the direction of it into a positive. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it does sound a bit counterintuitive, like you say, but yeah, the mechanism is.
It's like ring fencing the stress.
Yes. Yeah. It's about taking back control of your nervous system. That's the thing. And as I said before, it takes practice as well, but everybody can do it. Yeah, so it's a little bit of practice and guidance. Okay. Any other questions, guys? Anything I've not covered or anything? If anybody wants to have a chat with me privately as well, if there's any other questions you don't want to say in front of the group, that's perfectly fine. I'll hang about for a little bit if anybody wants to chat at all. But yeah, with that, I'll leave you to it, guys. But
Sorry, one more
yeah.
question. For like you guys that do fights and stuff like that, do they do this before they fight? Like just before they go to the
You mean like immediately before?
Yeah, or is it like should we do it an hour before, 2 days before?
So it's something that we do throughout training camp, certainly. I would probably say to them if they're in the dressing room, if they feel they want to do it in there, do it. If they don't, if they'd rather just warm up, stretch, wrap the hands, hit mitts, whatever, a bit of roll or whatever, that's fine. It's whatever will facilitate them getting into the best possible state mentally at that time, do that. Yeah. But I wouldn't advise them doing it sort of immediately before a fight, just before walking out, because we need a certain level of arousal. There needs to be a certain level of stress for the nervous system to be all firing on all cylinders, I remember Donald Cerrone talking once about, as I'm sure you guys know, it was always a slow starter in fights. And I remember him talking about being real nervous as well, and that was contributing to him being a bit of a slow starter. And he did some relaxation practices, whether it was hypnosis or something else, I'm not entirely clear on, but he started implementing something in the dressing room, and just before his fight. And I remember him in an interview afterwards saying how he just didn't feel like he was there. He didn't feel warm, he didn't feel, the anticipation of the fight. He was just kind of half asleep. And so it was a really bad idea to do it just before the fight, because he was too chilled, he was too relaxed. You need to be at a certain level of stress just beforehand. So it's, that sort of thing, bad idea. But earlier on in the day, like say dressing room beforehand for a certain amount of time, it's not a bad thing. Depends what resonates with you, really.
No, before the goal was pretty heavy.
Yeah, and that's why I say to the guys I work with, we do it throughout training camp, and that's something I forgot to mention earlier actually. When you practice this stuff, if you can do it as late as possible before you go into bed, and first thing when you wake up in the morning, those are some of the most optimal times to practice this visualization stuff, because your brain waves are already naturally going through that cycle when you're going into sleep and then waking up in the morning, so you're actually kind of piggybacking on what's happening naturally anyway, so it's easier to get into those states at those times of day. So that's a good point you made there actually. So yeah, and the night before, like I say, you can help you sleep as well. Yeah, if you struggle to get your head down to sleep, doing a bit of this, bit of deep breathing, bit of visualization, just calming your nervous system down, slowing your brain waves down, you should start to then drift off into sleep as well. So yeah, that's another topic for the day. Cool. But yeah, thank you for this, guys. I appreciate it. It's a bigger turnout than I was expecting, to be fair, with it being half term and whatnot. But yeah, thank you for coming. Appreciate it. Hope you found some value in this. And as I say, I'll stick around for a little bit. If anybody's got any questions or anything they want to chat to me privately about, I'm more than happy to speak with you after. But yeah, if not, have a good evening and take it easy. All right.
Have a stretch, fellas. Feel free to stretch off.
Cheers, mate.